Disclaimer, yesterday's video was an attempt at having a piss take at news broadcast and parodied news broadcast. Well, due to the popularity of yesterday's video, this is what it would look like if I actually tried doing news. So just know that going forward. Welcome to the Eclectic News Network. I'm the Eclectic Beard, and these are the stories of the day. Yesterday on the Senate floor, like a drunken street preacher, Mitch McConnel wanted to admonish Democrats for having money grabs and coming up with harebrained schemes to take more of America's tax dollars than ever before.
Our Democratic colleagues and President Biden are behind closed doors dreaming up creative new ways to grab literally historic amounts of the American people's money.
While failing to mention that it's probably because of his and Donald Trump's policy that they're having to do this in the first place. I mean, Mitch, do you forget? American taxpayers are already on the hook for how many trillions of dollars worth of American farmers whose goods sat on their fields and, rotted because tariffs? I mean, do you forget that little bailout? Or maybe the blank check that you had the Democrats agree to before they give American workers who, all of a sudden were out of work, any kind of money, so you could give Wall Street a blank check bailout? Does none of this ring a bell, Mitch? I mean, you can sit there and croak on the Senate floor like a bullfrog all you want to.
So even with significant inflation, runaway gas prices, and runaway energy costs already hitting American families in their pocketbooks, Washington Democrats have spent months dreaming up new cash grabs for the IRS.
But those of us who are living in this stuff all remember. So while you can blame inflation on them, most of us remember taking and having our grocery bill going from $80 to $120 within the span of 2 years before COVID even hit, while Donald Trump was president, all because of tariffs. So all this posturing, well, stop, because you suck at it. You suck at it. The second news story of the day is that yesterday, commenters on YouTube forgot all about nuance and comedy of any kind and wanted to attach personal political belief to a simple attempt at humor. So, some of the comments, such as this one, I was hoping you more like Bo of the fifth column. Actual intelligence research and debate. By the sounds of it, you have a red MAGA hat hiding in that little room. Or, sorry, lost a subscriber now, dogfighting for profit and some sick pleasure, which, where did they even come up in the video yesterday? And watching animals rip each other apart, be abused, and finally be killed when they no longer useful is utterly depraved. No kidding! Wow, the unfortunate necessity to use other mammals rather than humans to test medical research is a fact. Perhaps if you don't like animals being used, you can donate yourselves or your children to medical research. How about this? Prisoners. The ones that are sitting on death row for murder, or maybe even rape, or child molestation. I don't know. Maybe they'd be a little bit more, keen to it, or at least the public might be a little bit more keen to it since they're already taken out of, polite society. So they would develop things like insulin, chemotherapy, antidepressants. They'd be the perfect people to take and test antidepressants. I'm sure there's nothing but depression sitting on death row. Do I detest animals being harmed? Yet. So, you've got a clause. You've got an escape clause that makes it acceptable to harm animals. Beings, creatures that have no say in anything, can't take and protect themselves. Especially like the beagles. When it comes to being able to give my baby a safety-tested vaccine or them dying, I know which I will fortunately choose. The scumbag dogfighter should be put in a ring with a few dogs, just himself and his bare hands, to see how it goes. So, I'm glad I have to break this down because I didn't think I would have to. The whole thing with Fauci yesterday. Let's give some context. I don't care one whit about the crap. As far as the political stuff, I don't. I find it funny. I like calling out both sides and taking and trolling both sides. Where Fauci is concerned, it just being a hot topic right now, and it depends on who you ask. A lot of folks don't like him. A lot of folks are like, okay. But the majority of folks, they agree with him. I agree with a lot of stuff he said. However, to take in the spirit of making a video, making sure that you have content. Woo! There's somebody recognizable. Somebody that could actually, I put it, Dr. Fauci lied. It's going to take and get views. Wow, the concept on that one, right? All right, so here's a setup. So I talk about Dr. Fauci, right? I refer to his testimony being as reliable as a prostitute witnessing against her pimp. So already it throws doubt on stuff that he said. Well, see, here in America, he's been going through the Senate and have to answer questions about stuff that he had already told Congress, like, oh no, we haven't given money to foreign labs, even though that's been categorically shown to be false. My thing is, they all lie, so that's to be expected. However, here in this country, if you take and harm an animal in any sort of way, you get sent to prison for years. So the fact that part of the money was sent to a lab in Tunisia where they took and clipped the vocal cords of beagles, which means they were not able to bark, cry out, anything while in intense pain while being eaten alive after they've had their head shoved in mesh cages filled with sandflies. These sandflies are eating them alive. I'm sorry, that's an atrocity. I don't care where you stand on medical research. That's a fucking atrocity. And if you disagree with that, shut up. You don't deserve to have an opinion of that at this point. That's how this goes. So it's the reason why that's a true part of what's in there. Okay. The hypocrisy is that here in the U.S., there are many things that we as citizens, if we were to do, we'd be thrown into prison for many, many years. But when the government does it, it's in the spirit of politics. We lie to the government, we go to jail. They lie to us, it's politics. They take and harm animals for the sake of scientific research. They get a pass. Oh, they're making sure vaccines and medicine work and stuff like that. Granted, that's not lost on me. I understand how this works, okay? Not dumb here, okay? American citizen takes and harms an animal, though, and guess what? Put in prison for many years. Ask Michael Vick, which is the reason why I took and used Michael Vick, because he's a former NFL player, right? Former NFL player, which means he played American football. Found out while he was playing that he was involved in dogfighting, was sent to prison, which is the reason why I gave a false quote from him being distraught. See, the whole thing was taken and showing the hypocrisy of the American system. Now, I get that I take and look at British stuff. I'm fascinated by it. It's a country I don't live in. I don't give opinion on stuff I don't know about. I live in my country. I see what goes on every day. So this was my attempt at going, hey, I'll try to take and use some dark humor, infuse dark humor into a serious subject to take and show the hypocrisy of the American government versus what happens to the American people. So now, the fact that you're going to try to infer a political leaning off of that shows that it's not me that has the slight amount of intelligence. Maybe you should open your eyes and see things for what they are and attempt at humor. And while also pointing out the hypocrisy of the system, which is exactly what I did. Same thing with the sword story, because the Israeli diver took and found a 900-year-old sword. They give him basically a pat on the back. Thanks, old boy. We appreciate it. Giving him a certificate of good citizenship for turning it in. Right? So that's where Nathan Drake and Dirk Pitt, two fictional characters, come in. I took and said they're glad that Dirk Pitt and Nathan Drake didn't find it first, because they're two fictitious treasure hunters. Ringing any bells? Like, if I have to take and break this down, it might not be me that has the lower intelligence level. I'm just putting this out there. Not saying that those of you who commented this stuff are dumb. I'm just saying, maybe think before you speak, because maybe you're not seeing the bigger picture. And if I have to explain it to you because you've jumped the gun and tried to take and attach personal, political beliefs, like, oh, he's a Trumpite, and dumb shit like that, you've missed it. You've missed the plot in the first place. And that's your stories for today.